Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Carly. Thank you so much for watching. If you do not know, I recently had my first baby. His name is Wilder. I had him this past year and he is almost 5 months old now. And here on my channel, I make content about pregnancy and labor and motherhood and pretty much everything that falls in between. And in today's video, we are going to be talking all about my favorite breastfeeding products. Now, before I even step foot into this video, I need to say that if you are a mother and your baby is being fed, then you are doing an amazing job, period. If you are unable to breastfeed, if you have chosen not to breastfeed, if you breastfed for a short period of time and you are no longer breastfeeding, you are doing amazing and you need to hear that. There are so many expectations put on moms. One of the biggest ones is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is amazing for your baby, but if you do not choose to breastfeed, you are still a great mom and you are still doing an amazing job and your baby is still going to be very, very, very healthy as long as they're being fed. At the very core of my channel and the content that I create, I want to give moms and parents the information they need to make informed decisions. And if it's what's best for you and your body and your baby and your family that you are feeding your baby by other means, then that is okay. My sole purpose here is to share information about the things that worked for me and my baby and our breastfeeding journey and the things that made it a little bit more manageable. If it is a goal of yours to breastfeed your baby, or if you are already in the midst of breastfeeding your baby, way to go. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I know it can be really trying. I have intentions of making a video all about my entire breastfeeding journey, but for now I wanted to start with a few products that made that journey just like a little bit easier. It's hard. It is a really difficult thing to do, especially at the beginning. It takes a while to kind of like get your sea legs. There are so many things that impact your breast milk and the production you have and your baby's latch and just like 1,000 things to think about. To give a little bit of a background on my labor and delivery story, I had a planned home birth and I had a water birth here in my house, and my delivery was textbook. I had a pretty quick delivery for a first-time mom. I labored for about 10 hours before Wilder was born, and when he was born, we had immediate skin to skin and my placenta remained intact with him for quite a while. We definitely did delayed cord clamping. During that skin to skin, I was holding him to my chest and he immediately started kind of like rooting down to my nipple to start breastfeeding, and he latched immediately. So right off the bat, I had really set myself up to have a positive breastfeeding experience because we were able to have that uninterrupted skin to skin time and he latched immediately, and so we were kind of like on our way to getting that production up and running. Beyond that, I had my partner Drew, my mom, and my doula all kind of like helping me as soon as he was delivered to start getting water in my system, getting rehydrated, eating really good nourishing food. Like I was trying to get my system up and running while he was latching. So that is one of my very first things that I can tell you to do, and that is to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I am always talking about hydration. I keep this giant Hydro Flask with me everywhere I go. This is my favorite water bottle. It keeps your water cold. It's huge and it has a spout. That is like the number one thing that I think is important in a water bottle, is having a straw, because when you have a straw, you drink it like 10 times faster. That is my very first product that I feel like I mentioned in every single video. Drink water. You have to drink water. Water is so key for having a healthy milk supply. Please get yourself a water bottle and keep it with you all the time. The next thing that I always used every single time I breastfed Wilder for the first, I think probably 3 months, is a Boppy. I have talked about the Boppy so many times because I feel like it was so essential for getting a good latch with Wilder. Before I was pregnant with Wilder, I was plus size and had size triple D boobs, and after I was pregnant and started breastfeeding, they got bigger. It didn't work for me to hold him in like that classic cradle position you imagine whenever you think of someone breastfeeding. That just like did not fly with me and him when he was a newborn. It just didn't work at all for us. In order for us to get a healthy latch, I always had to do the football hold. Now the football hold is exactly what it sounds like. So instead of the Boppy being like front facing like this and going underneath your waist that way, you turn it to the side and kind of like put it around your waist, almost like a C shape. sleep, and then you take your baby and lay them right on the pillow and they get a latch that way. This was literally the only way I fed him for probably 3 months. All I wanted to do was to feed him laying down in the bed because I was so tired in the middle of the night doing those late night feedings. I just wanted to be able to lay down and feed him, and we just couldn't do it for those first few months. He didn't have the neck control and my boobs were too big and it just didn't work. And my back was killing me. I had such bad back pain. The Boppy made it a lot easier and I couldn't have lived without it. Next thing that I used every single time I breastfed for the first few months is the Haaka. If you do not know what this is, it is amazing. So essentially what you do, it's like a silicone and it has my dog's hair all over it. Essentially what you do with this is this little lip flips back like this. You take it, your boob, put it over the nipple, flop this over, and it suction cups onto your nipple. Sounds crazy, looks crazy, like makes your boob look like an udder, but it is amazing. So for me, whenever I was breastfeeding on one side, my other boob would let down so much milk. For the first few months, like I was just soaked, like covered in milk. I started using this and I love it so much. I was able to build up my entire freezer stash with this alone because every time I breastfed, I was letting out probably like 3 ounces. And so if you're doing that 10 times a day, that's a lot of milk that you're getting every day. And so I would use this and I would just stash whatever came out and it was perfect. For all of my friends who are pregnant and having a baby, this is the present that I will get them because I feel like every single person needs to have this. The next thing that I always made sure that I had on me were nipple pads. I opted to use reusable nipple pads because I was going through them like crazy. If I had to use disposable nipple pads, I would have had to have purchased so many nipple pads. I just wasn't about that. So I liked these because I could put them in the washing machine and reuse them, and they are organic cotton. They're super soft. Your nipples are going to be raw for the first few weeks, and these were just so soft. I tried like 6 different brands of reusable nipple pads, and some of them suck. Like some of them are honestly terrible. As soon as they would get wet, it would like leak through on the other side and then just get your bra wet, or it wouldn't actually absorb anything and it would just run down my boob. You can order these on Amazon. I ordered like 6 packs of them. I have them all over my house, and I guarantee you these are the best nipple pads that you can find. I have done my research. I have done the trial and error. Learn from my mistakes. Do not buy the other ones. Just get these because they're the best. So speaking of your raw, dry nipples, the next thing that you wanna make sure to have is some kind of nipple cream. I absolutely love this one. I love the company. They are a zero waste company. Everything is handmade and cruelty free. It comes in this super cute little tin. It is super simple, super clean ingredients. It's going right onto your nipples, and it's where your baby is latching and feeding from. I didn't want anything that had like synthetic ingredients or chemicals or anything like that. It's organic. It is sunflower oil and beeswax. It really doesn't have a super strong smell. This stuff was a lifesaver, man. So essentially what my routine was whenever I was feeding him, I would feed him, and then as soon as he was done eating, I would put my pump on. And so I'd pump for a few minutes to try and help get my breast milk supply up. And then once I was done pumping, I would take this and put it on. And then right after that, I'd put on one of my reusable nipple pads and then put my nursing bra on and let them kind of like sit for a little bit just to get some moisture and make sure that they didn't dry out. Hi, baby. Hi. Did you have fun on your walk? Next item always sounds so silly whenever I talk about it, but I feel like I have to give it a shout out because I use them all day, every single day whenever I was breastfeeding, and it's burp cloths. These ones are my favorite. They are from Amazon. They are muslin burp cloths, and I just think that they are the perfect size. They drape over my shoulder perfectly, and they are super absorbent. They are newborns. They're spitting up all the time. If you don't have a clean nipple pad on you or a nipple pad at all, you can also take this and just like shove it into your nursing bra so that it absorbs the extra milk. But I loved having these. It was like the routine. Every time I woke up in the middle of the night to feed Wilder, Drew would come over, bring me the Boppy, bring me a burp cloth, bring me the Haaka and a nipple pad and my water bottle. And like that was the setup every single time. I have a couple of different types. If I could go back, I would only get these because I think that they are the best ones. So the next thing that you're going to want to have is a nursing bra. I am wearing the one that I like the most right now. If you are someone who has larger boobs or is plus size like I am, then you need to check out Torrid. They have the best nursing bras for someone with a larger chest. The one that I have on now and the one that is my favorite actually isn't even a classic like latching one that unclips and folds down. This one is really just a soft kind of V-neck one that is stretchable enough that you can pull it down and breastfeed. And I like this one the most because I could sleep in it. If you think that you are gonna be breastfeeding and sleeping without a bra on, you have something else coming your way, because you will leak in the middle of the night and you will wake up and all your entire bed is going to be covered in milk. And it's so sad because there's nothing better than coming home from like a long day and taking your bra off, especially when you're about to go to sleep. But while you're breastfeeding, those days are long gone. In the meantime, you definitely want to find a bra that is comfortable enough for you to sleep in. So I have one of these, and then I have two that are the classic kind of like clip ones like this that unfold and let you breastfeed that way. And I also really like these because I like to wear these types of bras with my breast pump, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So get yourself a couple of options because they are going to constantly be covered in milk and spit up. You want to have a couple in rotation so that you can get them washed and keep them clean. So the next thing that I feel like really helped get my milk supply up is the Elive breast pump. Now, I have a lot of pros for this pump, but there are also a couple of cons that I want to talk about too. So if you're not familiar with the Elive pump, it is wireless and cordless, and it slips right into your nursing bra and you can wear it on the go. You do not have to be plugged into the wall. There are no tubes involved. You literally just take it and put it right over your nipple on this side, turn it on. I can't believe how few of options there are for breast pumps that are wireless like this, because they are such a game changer. To be able to put on a breast pump and not have to be sitting down and plugged into a wall is so amazing. The convenience of it and being able to not just feel like your entire life is dedicated to pumping really encourages you to continue breastfeeding. In those first few weeks of breastfeeding, you are trying to do everything you can to kind of get your supply up, and it's a supply and demand relationship. The more demand there is for milk, the more your body is going to supply milk. So for me, the best way that it worked was that I would feed Wilder first and foremost, and then put this on immediately after to kind of stimulate that I needed to produce more milk. And it worked really well because I was able to wear this and do other things and like move around. I would put it on whenever we were going to leave the house and run errands. We tried to take Wilder like out to the park a lot whenever he was a newborn to get fresh air and get out of the house. And so I would just put these on and walk around with him, and I barely even noticed that they were there. I could easily wear this pump for 30 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes, because the suction on this isn't quite as strong as like a Medela pump would be. It still gets breast milk out and it still stimulates your nipple, but it's not so strong that if you wear it for 30 or 45 minutes, it's gonna like make your nipples raw or anything like that. There is another wireless breast pump on the market that you might be looking at as well. It's called the Willow, and it's very similar to the Elive. The main difference that I found between the two is that the Elive has a reusable pump bottle that the milk pumps into, and then what you do is you just take the spout off the top and you can pour it into whatever bag that you want. The Willow pump, you have to buy the bags that Willow makes because they're specific to the shape of the pump, and I did not want that. I wanted to be able to have a reusable bottle that I could put into whatever bags I wanted and store however I needed to without having to repurchase those bags. That is definitely a pro for the Elive. Another pro for this pump is that it is super quiet. You can barely hear it whenever it's turned on. I would wear this, we went to the movies once, and the only thing that you could see was like the light shining at the very top of the pump, but you cannot hear it at all. It is so quiet. If you are breastfeeding and you are going back to work, this is an amazing option. You can put this on in your bra on your commute into the office. You can put it on while you're at the office, at your desk. Now, there are definitely some cons to the Elive as well. Like I said earlier, it does not have the same suction power as a pump that you plug into the wall. At first when I got it, it definitely felt stronger than it does now. Once you start putting some wear and tear on these pieces, you can definitely run into some issues with getting the pump to latch properly. And the way that this pump works, it has to be latched on properly. There are a lot of videos you can watch about how to like properly put it on so that you get optimal suction. But if you run into any issues with that, one of the biggest pros that I found with the company is their customer service is amazing. You can call and they will walk you through everything. They will do different tests with you to see if it's like the actual pump itself, like the structure of the pump, or if it's one of the pieces that isn't working well. So you can reach out to the company to make sure that you're well taken care of. However, I definitely ran into some issues with the suction not being strong enough, or this like the latch not actually latching, and so there was just no milk coming out whatsoever. I'd wear the pump for 20 minutes and pull it out and it was empty. And I was like, I know that there's milk in there, and it was getting nothing out. But whenever I reached out to Elive's customer service, they sent me replacement parts for free and it fixed the problem as soon as I got them. When it works really well, but when it doesn't work, it can be really frustrating. This is not a cheap pump, and I absolutely want to support a company that is making a product like this because it is so innovative and women need to have more options for mobility when it comes to pumping. However, it is very expensive and something that I would want to know if I were rebuying it again. But I would say overall, I definitely still recommend the Elive. It has some hiccups along the way, but by far, I mean, it was a game changer for me, especially during those first few crucial weeks of breastfeeding. It really helped, I think, get my milk supply up. Now, paired with the Elive, I also have the Medela pump. This is the Pump in Style Advanced. It comes in this little backpack and you can keep all of your little bits in here. I love this pump as well. Obviously, it is not quite as compact or trim as the Elive pump is. But this one is very reliable. And I use this pump at the end of the day, every single day now. Wilder is eating much more like further apart at this point, and he's going to bed around 6:30 or 7 every night. And so I need to pump after he's gone to sleep. And that one's a little more powerful, a little more reliable. And so I just do one big pumping session between 9 and 11 o'clock. So if you are comparing the two pumps, I still really highly recommend the Elive. I think it is a fantastic pump. However, I do have a backup pump, and if you're going to go with the Elive, I think it would be a good idea to have something on hand. Even if it's just a standard hand pump, those work amazing, and you know you can rely on the hand pump too. It takes longer and is a little bit more cumbersome, but as long as you have kind of like a backup in case the Elive for whatever reason won't latch, I totally recommend it. Next thing that we absolutely loved were these Avent glass bottles. We decided to introduce a bottle to him the first week because I wanted to make sure that he would take both my Nipple and a bottle so that I could like leave the house and go and do stuff and not be worried that he wasn't gonna eat. And he took to these right away. He did not struggle with any nipple confusion or anything like that. We didn't give him a bottle too frequently, but we did. I mean, I gave him a bottle every few days or so. Drew usually gave him the bottle, and these were fantastic. He didn't have any issues with this at all. It has a really good flow. The nipple is very flexible. And he was eating quite a bit of milk, so I have the 8-ounce bottles. I think you can get them in like the shorter 4-ounce ones as well, but he was eating close like 6 to 8 ounces at every feeding. I really liked that these were glass as well. And overall, I've just really enjoyed these. So definitely make sure you have some sort of bottle on hand, but I highly recommend the Avent ones. And then last but not least, this one's kind of random, but it's actually right behind me. I loved having this salt lamp. So I have these in almost every room in my house, but specifically, I loved it for breastfeeding in the middle of the night. It diffused a really nice, soft, warm light so that I could see what I was doing without it being too harsh or waking everybody up. I also had a sound and light machine that I recently talked about in my newborn must-have products, and I love that one too. It like shines light out onto the ceiling that really lit up the room so that you could see what you were doing. When you are waking up every few hours to feed a newborn, having something like that is super helpful. So definitely get yourself some kind of light that will light up the room without being too harsh. All right, y'all, that is everything that I could think of for my my essentials for breastfeeding. Hopefully this was helpful for you if you are on your breastfeeding journey. Keep it up. It is very, very difficult work, and I know it can be exhausting. So hopefully some of these things can make that journey a little bit more manageable. But if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below what you feel like were your breastfeeding must-haves. I'm always curious to know what you guys find helpful. If you are not already, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.